I'm leading into Instagram. That's what I'm doing. I don't have enough followers on Instagram. So if you want to find me on Instagram, the Bob Cesca is where I am.
Ladies,
Instagram.
do it. Do it, ladies.
Yeah.
Here I am on the beach. Here I am on the beach in Hawaii, pensively staring at the. Okay.
I totally deserve that. That's
totally
100% earned. I earned all the ridicule for that.
Super hunky shots. Love it. Okay. Hi, Bob. It's a whole new world today. How about that? All that competence and the getting two competitors to work together and using the Defense Production Act, and we're all going to be vaccinated by May. How about that?
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's good news on that front. It's a shame that so many parts of this country are loaded with idiots who are just making ridiculous decisions. Greg Abbott, in particular, in Texas. Yeah. What a nightmare that's going to be. These people are ruining it for everybody. That's been the case for the last year now. Shirkers just ruining it for us. It's the most insane thing that we can't do this, that we don't have the restraint, we don't have the sense of societal sacrifice to make the necessary changes in our lives to get rid of this thing, which completely bodes horribly for any other disaster that's going to come on the heels of COVID. And Texas is a great example of that.
Like I say, they're the party of Trump, Bob. It's the complete lack of leadership Jeff Tiedrich said, what kind of whole president gets vaccinated in secret for a virus he claimed is a hoax? Because of course. How many, if he had just said, get the shot, it's just, now we're going to fight that whole fight. People not getting vaccinated even when it's available. And it's just, and you're right, going the way of Texas and screaming freedom like Ted Cruz, right? Like a lunatic.
Right. Well, just under the surface, they're all a bunch of fakers. Most of Fox News Channel is composed of people who are faking it. And obviously, we don't have copious amounts of evidence for this. But I think just through experience, just through things that we've heard through the grapevine, we know that a lot of these red hat pundits don't believe half of the things that they say. See also Alex Jones, Sean Hannity, for example. I know Keith Olbermann has said on several occasions that Sean Hannity is a big faker. So this is another Donald Trump is the biggest faker of all. He's the biggest con man in the history of American politics.
I'm sorry, cut to Sean. Did you mention Alex Jones, and you mean behind the scene what he actually thinks of Trump? Is that what you? Okay.
Part of me, the selfish part, wishes I'd never met Donald Trump, wishes that I'd never met Roger Stone, because unlike previous things I'd done that were game changing, those were just time-space continuum reflections of the third big change I was going to be involved in. And that was bringing Donald John Trump into Austin. So I said it again. I said Austin into office.
Okay, and then he went on to say.
Hold on, you guys are actually really good questions. This is going to be a really good thing, but I'm going to say it again in a minute. Let's drink some of this Armani. I'll try to say it. Because it's the truth, and I'm just going to say it, that I wish I never would have met Trump. I wish it never would have happened. And it's not that the attacks that I went through. I'm so sick of Donald Trump, man. God, I'm sick of him. And I'm not doing this because it's like I'm kissing his ass. It's just like I'm sick of it.
Wow. With Alex Jones, Bob. And then he went on to say, Raytheon, lizard people.
God,
tiny airplanes pushing weather around.
There's a lot there.
The throat polyps. He needs to have the throat polyps looked at. He needs to be professional about why his voice sounds like that. First of all, but
you're a liberal helper. I'm just saying, polyps. Check into it.
That's the clip of Alex Jones they're going to play during the in memoriam for Alex Jones. He's so somber and serious. Yeah, I'm really.
No, but you're right.
I can't even do it at that pace.
He really thinks
Alex.
what the rest of us think. I'm sick of Donald Trump. It's like, you mentioned Fox News. Oh, how about let's go to 16. It's going to all be better now because they just hired Kayleigh McEnerney. So they're going to get the benefit of her keen analysis like this one from a little over a year ago.
Absolutely. This president will always put America first. He will always protect American citizens. We will not see diseases like the coronavirus come here. We will not see terrorism come here. And isn't that refreshing when contrasting it with the awful presidency of President Obama?
Isn't that refreshing, Bob? We're going to have more of that prescient punditry on Fox News. Coronavirus will not even come here because of the superpowers of Velveeta Voldemort.
Right, and it almost doesn't even matter because they're just blurting things now and then changing the narrative as soon as they do. You know, as soon as the thing that they blurted turns out to be wrong. Is it, well, we weren't even talking about that. What is that you're even discussing? I never said anything like that. Besides, hydroxychloroquine and all the rest of it. So it's like a series of distractions to distract what they said from what they said previously to that.
He's not on tape a year ago. 15 cases, pretty day or two, it'll be zeros. Yeah. That's a pretty good job we've done. Pretty good.
Yeah. Nobody's done a better job at a pandemic than Donald Trump did. And Kayleigh McEnany.
My God. And by the way, Bob, you have to keep, speaking of nerd fact checkers like you, it's just, I'm sorry, Joe Biden has done an amazing job in just over, a month? Are we at a month or so? It's just this, it was supposed to be $2,000 checks. You're like, no, Snopes, because $600 checks were already being distributed by the time Biden entered office. The addition of $1,400 would fulfill the campaign promise of $2,000 per person for COVID. I mean, this bill, by the way, including even like Paul Krugman, this bill is fantastic. He's like, I have to pinch myself that we're getting this. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's an enormous bill. The stimulus bill that they passed during the Great Recession in 2009, the first piece of legislation, major legislation that Barack Obama signed, pushed through Congress and signed, was I think between $800 and $900 billion.
Right.
This stimulus package that the Democrats are trying to pass right now, $1.9 trillion. So it's a huge dollar amount. This is all stimulus to go to the American people. And at the same time, the business with, the $600 checks versus the $1,400 checks, all amounting to $2,000 checks. Joe Biden was very clear about that. Snopes has looked into this and investigated when Biden said that and, how that coincided with the stimulus that was passed at the end of the year last year. So it's very clear that Joe Biden was talking about the $600 being a down payment of the $2,000 that was being discussed at the time. So this is just a matter now of adding up 600 plus 1,400 equals 2,000. I don't know what's so complicated about this, but everyone's talking about how Joe Biden is reneging on a promise that he never made. He never made this promise.
And Bob, you also pointed out about
every time he mentioned 2,000, he was always saying it's the 600 was a down payment toward the 2,000.
No, he ran on this exactly. But anyway, it just you also pointed out, because I tend to be a bit of a hothead myself. Not much of an incrementalist, Bob. But you said, nice to hear Lawrence's A block and his version of what I was generally saying the other day about overriding the parliamentarian. It won't work. And bonus, the Democrats would have taken the low road, juggernauting over the parliamentarian, only to lose anyway. And that is when you calm down. It's because we don't have the votes. So I'm forgetting the $15 an hour minimum wage, however we can get it. I mean, I don't. Yeah. Right. There's got to be more ways and more ideas out there.
Well, and Joe Biden can't pass a $15 minimum wage just by an executive order. That's not something he can do. So they need the votes. And look, there's this concept that's being pushed now. It's been for the past week or so of overriding the parliamentarian, which would, first of all, we just spent the last 4 years screaming about the attacks against institutions and the rule of law and the decorum of how we do things in this country, the traditions and the rules. And so you just can't turn around in the first 40 days of the Biden administration and say, screw the parliamentarian. What's that noise? We don't need to do that. Mitch McConnell would do it. So why don't we do it too? Well, that's not the right argument. Second of all, we'd be trampling the parliamentarian only to get to a losing vote. We wouldn't pass the $15 minimum wage because as soon as Kamala Harris were to override the parliamentarian, stick the $15 minimum wage back into the COVID relief bill, then Mitch McConnell would introduce legislation an amendment to strike the $15 minimum wage from the bill. That would have 51 votes with Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, and that be over. So you're trampling the rule of law. You're trampling how things go in this country, while at the same time, for a losing cause.
We are back to my original plan. I need to get in a mermaid outfit. I need to draw Kirsten Sinema literally and figuratively to the left, to the ocean, to the $15 minimum wage, to destroying the filibuster.
That's right.
It's my
You're not going to draw her in with a mermaid tail. You're just not.
Security
it's
will
my
get you.
personal project. Everybody just shush. You do arts and crafts, all of you. You collect superheroes. This is my project.
Ultimately, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. $15 minimum wage is probably going to happen at some point in the future. We just need to get more. We need to elect more Democratic senators is what we need to do.
Yeah, exactly, Bob. And it's ridiculous. We should always have it indexed so we don't have to do this all the time. It's not 12 years before it's raised, right? It's just, this is insane. $7.25 is insane anywhere. Right? I mean, it's not. I get different cost of living and different anyway.
If they could do it by eliminating the filibuster too. I mean, they can do that. They just don't have the votes for that either.
You tweeted, remember after 9/11 when bin Laden would release a new tape every now and then? The domestic bin Laden released a new tape at CPAC yesterday. Thank you. And you talked about him reading off names. You said it's a target list. He said, get rid of them all. I mean, of course he can go, I was talking about the next election. He always has plausible deniability, but he was like, get rid of all of them. After he put targets on the Supreme Court justices' back. He said the exact same thing about them that he did about Mike Pence, right?
Yeah. It's hilarious that an event that was about slamming cancel culture, it was an event that was geared entirely around, I think the whole theme of CPAC was canceling cancel culture.
Right.
That's
America uncanceled.
Right.
Yeah, there it is. And so during Donald Trump's speech, right in the belly of it, he named all the Republicans who voted against him, in essence, canceling those Republicans, saying these are the guys and women that you need to go after now, Red Hat Army. You need to not only primary them with pro-Trump candidates, but you may want to physically intimidate them too. Wink, wink. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Wink, wink.
Oh, and they canceled a bunch of speakers that didn't love Trump enough. But it's different when they do it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the same thing we did about them arresting French President Sarkozy. And he gets a long prison sentence for corruption. You were like, attention, Department of Justice, we can do this. We can do it. And
that's what I kept thinking as I was watching Trump's speech at CPAC on Sunday. Was is he at large? He's still a free man giving a speech willingly in public, and he should be hiding in a spider hole somewhere. I mean, remember after we invaded Baghdad and the second Gulf War, and then Saddam Hussein hid out in a hole somewhere, and they had to drag him out, and he had a long beard and everything. That's how we should rediscover Donald Trump, not at CPAC, for God's sake.
We've all had our fantasies about exactly where and when he's going to be arrested and how. How about this?
I'm looking forward to that footage.
The Fulton County District Attorney's Office will appear before a grand jury starting this week. To begin seeking subpoenas for evidence about Trump's alleged solicitation of election fraud in Georgia in January. Fani Willis indicated she's investigating several state crimes, including solicitation of election fraud, making false statements to state and local government bodies, conspiracy, racketeering, violation of oath of office, and involvement in violence and threats related to the elections administration. That's just for starters, a little buffet. Yeah.
Unfortunately, in Georgia, they're also trying to pass legislation now that would restrict voting rights. I mean, they're pulling back. They want to pull back on absentee or no excuse absentee voting, or what is it? Absentee voting without. It's the same as mail-in voting. They want to roll back mail-in voting. They want to roll back the drop boxes. They want to roll back weekend voting. And the weekend voting specific toward to black voters in Georgia. And so this is all happening as a consequence of Donald Trump's ridiculous conspiracy theories here. So this is more Republicans voting on fiction. We've seen this time and time again with James O'Keefe videos. James O'Keefe drops a new video. It's very clearly a fake and selectively edited. Then the Republicans in Congress can't wait to vote on legislation based on that fake, selectively edited video. See also ACORN and Planned Parenthood. And how many votes did they take to defund Planned Parenthood after the fake video about the selling of fetus parts?
And that's why we better figure out about filibuster, reconciliation, whatever. After what happened at the Supreme Court yesterday and what it looks like is going to happen, according to Charlie Pierce and a lot of experts, we better pass this John Lewis Voting Rights Act because nothing else is going to matter. No other bill is going to get done.
It's so flagrant what they're doing because they admitted it out loud. The guy from the lawyer from the RNC said point blank to Amy Coney Barrett in the Supreme Court yesterday, yeah, we're here because you give people voting rights and it's bad for Republicans.
Yeah, said it out loud because it's bad for Republicans.
Yeah,
I know, said it out loud. Bob, my favorite Bob Cesca's Instagram picture was you actually did a picture of you calling on a giant 1940s telephone. You said, my first appearance on the Stephanie Miller Show. Sean, that was the first time I ever said I'm in for Dick, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah. Bob called me. You literally are calling on a giant rotary telephone. What year was that?
With a giant, a giant cord coming down. Yeah.
Yeah.
1941.
And it was
to some younger people, I had to explain what that was.
And it was the first time. Yeah.
It's the phone from MASH. It's like
Dick, are you in?
I'm always in for Dick.
Yeah, that was the first time Dick Pinch called into the show, and it was very exciting.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, I was saying it was the phone I was using was the phone from MASH.
From MASH.
Radars.
Yes, I could hear the helicopters.
Yes.
I could hear the helicopters.
Crank it up. Call Sparky.
I'm like, can
you patch me through to the Stephanie Miller Show?
Bob, can you get me a date with Hot Lips Houlihan? All right. Love you, Bob Cesca. Love the Bob Cesca Show on your podcasting superstation, Sexy Liberal Podcast Network. Okay, goodbye. Bye-bye. Bye.